Hi everyone, happy 2018. It's Mark Lascola coming to you from On the Mark here in Phoenix, Arizona. I want to talk with you today, particularly since it's the new year, about capability development, and specifically about our organization design capability development solution. We've had a conversation among OTM senior staff about building skills and knowledge in organization design. And many of us have come to the conclusion that there's a bit of dishonesty about classroom training alone for organization design. Organization design is a very complex solution that doesn't always lend itself to learning in 5 days or 3 days in a classroom setting. And so what I want to talk with you about is to consider if in 2018 you're thinking about getting some training and upskilling in organization design, you might want to take some of these things into account. The first is I want to talk with you about approach to training development and what we call the 10-20-70 model, where 10% of the time is spent in classroom training or online training in more traditional forms, 20% is coaching and support, and 70% is actually real practice and application, and many times through with observation and or ongoing live support. In this 10-20-70 model, we find very effective in learning and becoming competent and confident in organization design skills. But by itself, it's not enough. I want to talk about setting up organization design skill training internally first. And I want to talk about the importance of setting up the right conditions in advance to help you be successful. It's not uncommon for an organization to pick up a phone, one of our potential customers, and say, we want to train a group of our people in organization design. And we say to them, well, the first thing that you have to consider is when you teach your people organization design skills, you have to think about how their role and their responsibilities change. For example, organization design project is not a 1-hour time demand on an internal change agent per day. It takes a tremendous amount of effort and hand-holding to not only plan, but drive and see through an organization design project from start to finish. So what you first have to consider is, how does the role and responsibilities change for the people we're training? That's the first. The second thing you have to consider is capacity. One organization design project could eat up an entire an individual's time and effort. And in fact, not just an individual, but actually a number of individuals. So what's that going to do to your staffing model and into your operating model of which these individuals who are going to be upskilled, what does it do to them and their capacity? The third thing you have to think about is how does the leader's role change supporting these people who are doing organization design? Let me give you a practical example. It's not uncommon for us to train human resource professionals in organization design, and yet what we teach them is they have to be like a free radical in an organization and be able to go wherever the work goes, and they need to be able to talk to whichever leader is the sponsor. It doesn't matter if that leader is 5 levels above where they're at. Now, some traditional HR leaders get a little upset about that because their direct reports are going to a leader who's 2 or 3, 4 levels above where they sit. You know what? As an HR director of professionals who are trained in organization design, you have to be completely comfortable with that. And your job is to support that, what we call free radical, to be able to follow the work and be able to go up and down the chain of command regardless of where it takes them in order to do this organization design project well. The last change I want to talk about is if people aren't expected to apply within 30 to 90 days of the training, then you shouldn't do it. Otherwise, it's just a tick in the box that says, yeah, we've trained our people in organization design. Aren't you happy about that? Yeah, if your goal is only to make your people happy and just check the box, you can go ahead and do that. But if your goal is to really make a difference, we highly recommend that you don't do any training with anyone who's not going to apply it immediately or within 90 days of coming out of a classroom training. So there's 4 points I want to talk about in terms of setup that you have to take into account before you do any classroom training is people should be using real projects. Number two is you create case studies that are unique to your company. Or the third, which is actually quite exciting, is you bring the customer into the room. Now, I do want to highlight something about who's in the room getting trained. We find it very effective to have entire leadership teams getting trained simultaneously. So, for example, in human resources, it's not only the human resource professional getting trained in organization design, but it's the business leadership team that is in there with him or her and actually getting trained at the same time, so that they actually are doing real design work and they're planning that design work, and they walk out with substance and not only learning about what is organization design, but they walk out with plans and actions and decisions that they've made throughout the week. Now, when we're talking about these kinds of classroom trainings, what we're really talking about is no less than 3 days, sometimes up to 5 days in length initially. But by itself, that's not enough. So let's talk about the 20/70 part of capability development. The 20 part is about receiving ongoing coaching and support and guidance from someone who knows what they're doing. It's very critical to cementing the learning and to give people confidence in application. But also the 70%, which is the real application, many times it's not uncommon for us to do virtual and on-site observation, as well as sometimes co-delivery, and actually doing that 10, 20, 70 combination really gets people standing on their feet quite quickly and gives them not only the competence, but also the confidence to do this very complicated work that we call organization design. Now, there's one other thing that I want you to consider. As you're looking around in your organizations and you're saying, yes, we need to develop our people in organization design, what do we do? One of the things you want to consider is, do you build your own methodology or do you buy it? Now, one of the things, if you build your own methodology, you run the risk of wasting a lot of time and effort and building something that may be half good. Organization design as a solution has been around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Why not consider buying a methodology, buying the tools, buying the examples, buying the wisdom in some way that's codified so that your people can use it? And on the Mark, all of our methodology and all of our know-how is embedded into our solution, complete with methods, tools, examples, wisdoms, checklists, all the things that you would need in both paper version, digitalized versions, as well as in the app. So as you consider what's new for 2018, and as you consider, hey, maybe we need to start to learn organization design skills, you need to take these things that I'm sharing with you into account. So as you move forward, please just consider these points, take them into account, and it's really important that you spend your time and efforts wisely rather than recreating sliced bread as you move forward into 18. So all the best to you, and hope to hear from you soon.